But I think the main things is at the end of the day, volleyball is volleyball. It's in the same 9x9 court, and the rules are the same. So we. Is that on the back of your shirt?
Yeah, it's on the back of the shirt.
You did. A little free shout out for you. And it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net. You need to still execute to the best of your ability if you want a chance to win.
That is right, Brett Walsh. What is up, boys and girls? Welcome back. This is the 9x9, the 81 square meters of the best volleyball coverage on the internet. This is it is Monday, April 29th, 2024. It's episode 119. That is Everett Delorme, live from Toronto, north of the border. I am Rob St. Clair, live from Long Beach, California. I'm in a different spot this week. It's thank you all for dealing with a very, very late show by our standards. Maybe Europeans, it might be like 5:30 in the morning for some of our European viewers on Tuesday, if any of them are that interested in waking up to watch us. But it's a big show because Everett, this is our second to last episode of the club season. This is the second to last episode of the club season. It's crazy. And really, there's only 2 matches left in the entire season, which is the Champions League SuperFinals, which we'll talk about later. First and foremost, it's over. Everett, I'm sorry.
The drought is over.
I'm sorry for Monza, but we got to talk about Cersi safety Perugia. They have finally done it. Gino Cersi has finally done it. He has finally put together a scudetto winning roster. Only Perugia's second title ever, which is crazy. Second in a row for coach Angelo Lorenzetti, who we will certainly talk about. Perugia completes basically a perfect season because they did go 4 for 4 in trophies in competitions that they played in.
You're not wrong.
They didn't play Champions League, but everything else that they touched, they won. And they did it in very convincing fashion. Last week on the show, we were talking about it being 1-1, and Monza had made a series out of it. Then Perugia goes home, wins in 4. Perugia goes on the road, wins in 4. It is over. You can see the joy on the faces of all those men in red right there. Everett, we will get to your beloved Vera Volley Canada in a second, but
we need to start with Perugia first.
Absolutely.
100%. That, and I think in all the talk about Monza, and it was such a great, we've omitted to talk about how fantastic Perugia has been, right? And this was, they played their game plan to a T. They executed fantastically. And you saw contributions up and down the lineup on this team. Other than the setter position, every single, other than the setter libero, every single position had some type of switching. Right. Of course, with the left sides, you had Leon going off in game 2 and game 4. Of course, it's been Platnitsky and Stemeniak all year long, with Soleil and Fabio and Russo just kind of switching out in the middle. And then, of course, Herrera coming in and kind of being a bit of a game changer for Perugia in game number 4, just bringing a little bit of fire that Ben Tara was missing. That, this is exactly what I was worried about with Ben Tara. I don't think this one match is overshadowed by a fantastic season, but he picked a hell of a time to have one match that wasn't great. But ultimately, Perugia came into this series and into this season with a different mindset than usual, and you can tell by the way that they executed their game plan in the series. And that was to beat the snot out of the ball right at Gugini and Stephen Marr, just to absolutely dominate from the baseline and continue to be probably the best blocking team in volleyball. That was utter domination, and we saw it to a T in game number 4, where Gugini had 34 targets, Marr had 25, Rand had 5.
Incredible execution of the game plan. Just incredible execution of the game plan.
Absolutely. And that has to me has to come down all the way down to Lorenzetti, right? You've had maybe not stooges. Last year you had a stooge. Other years questionable, but they've gone through their fair share. But finally they found their guy.
And a job extremely well done by Angelo Lorenzetti. I had somebody DM me on Instagram, like, do you think Monza has a chance in this series based on, like, after Monza lost game 3? Somebody asked me, like, if Stephen Marr plays a little bit better, do you think Monza has a chance to win the series? Because Marr in game 3 was not very good. In game 4, he was much better. But I said no. I said no, I don't think so, because I kind of put it this way to this guy that asked me. Monza's success comes when they extend rallies, and they have absolutely no shame about playing sloppy, weird, gross volleyball. Sloppy, weird, gross volleyball that totally works. It totally works for them, and they can execute at a real high level playing sloppy, weird, gross volleyball. That worked super well against Trentino. One, because there were those changes in the middle of the series with Mark coming back and Lepke going to the right side, like we talked about, but also because Trentino so badly wants to play clean volleyball that Monza playing sloppy, gross volleyball kind of threw him for a loop, and Trentino couldn't really figure it out. Perugia doesn't care about clean versus sloppy volleyball. They are going to punch you with every bit of force able to be constructed in an international volleyball roster. They're going to punch you with full force. They're going to serve the lights out of the ball, and they're going to set up the best block in maybe all of volleyball. Perfect matchup execution. It's why I didn't love Monza's chances coming into the series. I think Monza really did get everything they got everything they could out of this team and this run. It still was one of the great runs in the playoffs that we've really ever seen. But Perugia, for the agony that franchise has gone through, and last year was the biggest collapse in the history of volleyball in the first round after going undefeated in the regular season to lose to the 8th seed in the first round. Total redemption for the entire Perugia franchise, and I honestly feel really happy for all those guys. We can talk about Wilfredo Leon and his sort of legacy in a little bit. He ends his Perugia career on top, but in a very interesting role.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that he ends it on top finally after spending record amount of money and bringing in arguably the best player in the world. It's just they whiffed and they missed, and they broke down year after year after year, and finally in the year where he's the least relevant he's ever been, where he's in a supporting role coming off the bench, 8th man of the year, if you will. I don't know how we can call that, but ultimately he does come in and have a pretty fantastic performance to kind of clinch it in that final game, right? So I feel like we might be setting ourselves up.
Dude, he was the only Perugia player in double digits in the game 4.
No, I'm well aware, but crazy. I think we might be potentially setting ourselves up for a bit of revisionist history, because how many people are going to look back on Leon's career and be like, because the recaps in the future from FIVB and volleyball will be like, Wilfredo Leon scored 25 points to clinch the 2024 scudetto for Perugia, right? Like completely glossing over the fact that he wasn't really a factor on this roster all year long, but he was able to come in and dominate. The biggest difference from game 2 to game 3 and 4 is that Perugia didn't sway from their game plan. When you look at them serving targets, they're easily spread out through, and that's when when they're all engaged, that's when kind of things break down for them. That's when things are really, really good for Monza. And in that one, they were kind of going evenly across and serve receive. Rand was engaged. He was a part of the offense. He was a part of the serve receive. And in games 3 and 4, they just really isolated everything on Gino and Mar. And the reality is that there's not many, if any, players or teams that are going to be able to withstand that kind of sustained pressure from Perugia, right? From basically Leon and Herrera and Bentara and Semeniuk and Plotnitsky and Gianelli, and like the list goes on and on and on. So, right, it felt very much almost like the overcorrection of, we've gotten so close for so many years that we're gonna build up and steamroll through every single person, and they kind of did that.
Yeah, that's basically what they did. They steamrolled through games 3 and 4. I mean, game 4, Monza won the first convincingly. Monza had a lead in the second. I'm like, oh man, what sort of witchcraft is going on in this Monza arena? Could we actually be going to a game 5 here? And then really on Leon's shoulders, Perugia said absolutely not. Like that is enough of this nonsense. We are the superior team. We have just more firepower at literally every position on the floor, and they flexed those muscles and they won the scudetto. And I'm honestly, again, I'm happy for them. I really am happy for them. I think Angelo Lorenzetti was the perfect hire. I think he deserves a tremendous amount of credit. Somebody in the chat is saying that what I already said a week or two ago, that's that Lorenzetti has a skill that you can't teach, and that's just knowing exactly when to make changes, knowing exactly when to make substitutions. And like you said, that this especially in game 4 and kind of the whole playoffs, this is Perugia by committee. They used 3 left sides, they used 2 opposites, and they used 3 middle blockers, and they did it in all sorts of different ways. But Lorenzetti's ability to pull the strings at exactly the right time, I think, is really underrated and really important. And I can only imagine the celebrations going on in Perugia last night into today. I mean, I saw I also want to give credit to their social media team, dude. Probably the best in all of club volleyball. They have been absolutely outstanding. They've been posting so much stuff all season. The memes have been really funny, but also just the coverage after the title of like, I saw a video at like 2 a.m. when their bus got back home to Perugia, and a whole huge fan section was greeting them with smoke and fireworks and cheers and all this stuff. It was really cool to see, and I'm happy for Perugia. I think this is a very, very worthy champion for the Scudetto.
You know what, Rob? You know who I want to give a shout out to is Gino Cersi, right? And I know that might be controversial, and I know he is somewhat of a meme amongst our ranks. However, this is a man who started this club back in 2001, right?
From nothing.
Right? The Twin Towers were still around when this club was founded.
Yikes.
Yeah. That's how old. Sorry to get morbid with the with the reference, but that just to give you a reference. And when you look at teams like Trentino and Lube, their inceptions into the league started pretty much in the top flight, where they bought themselves into the league when another team was falling out. Perugia built themselves up all the way from the lowest tier, all the way from like Italian Serie C, which from what I understand is like the 5th division.
Yeah, you got A1, A2, A3, B, and C.
and have slowly built themselves up over the course of 20 plus years. And to be honest, I think that's awesome. Right. I think that one owner had the steadfast ability to kind of push through and to be like, I want to make one of the best volleyball teams in the world. And the fact that he's done it, I think that's commendable. Right. We need as much as much he is passionate, and maybe a little overbearing. Like he is passionate. Right. And he does care. If we had more Gino Cersis in the world, we'd have a better volleyball world. So I do think that he does deserve a shout out. I hope my Italian friends don't disagree with that too much.
No, that's very well said. If we had more Gino Cercis in volleyball would be a better place, mostly because of the money that he is capable and willing and passionate enough to inject into the sport. And it's got to feel incredible for him having accomplished this after the tremendous disappointment of the last few years. Again, they won all 4 trophies, which is that they played in, which is rare and amazing. To talk about Monza really quickly, again, I think that they accomplished everything that they could. Beating Trentino in that semifinal was more. Accomplished everything they could and more. They beat Lube in that crazy 5-match series. They beat Trentino in that crazy 5-match series. They took a match from Perugia. They gave them everything they had. That was an incredibly fun run to watch, and that team should feel very good about themselves, except for the fact that both Monza and Allianz Milano, which we'll talk about the 3rd place series briefly in a minute, are going to be representing Italy in the Scudetto playoffs and be Italian representatives in next year's Champions League. Everett, is that going to be a good representation of Italian volleyball next year?
Well, first and foremost, I do want to talk about Monza. You talk about Perugia going 4 for 4 for trophies. Monza, silver medalists in the Italian Cup, silver medalists in the Challenge Cup, and Scudetto silver medalists, which for a team that was never really expected to be, okay, maybe the Challenge Cup. It's an Italian team in the Challenge Cup. You expect them to make the final. That's normal. They were never expected to be in the Italian Cup final, No one ever gave them a chance to beat Trentino in that semifinal. No one ever. Most people didn't even give them the chance to beat Lube in the first round. I'm pretty sure you were one of those people, Rob Sinclair.
I may have been.
However, like that run that they were on was incredible. And the thing that saddens me the most is that we won't get to see them run it back.
That's
right?
the part
we,
that sucks.
we won't get to see them kind of see how that works again. Keep that squad together again, because I think that they played a very fun style of volleyball. And we might not get to see that ever again. So that what makes me sad. And I mean, at the end of the day, for me personally, it was amazing to watch a bunch of Canadians go on a run like that, which was historic for Canadian volleyball. So it was awesome.
It was awesome. A lot of Canadians doing a lot of big things. I mean, you had Ryan Slater win the Plus Liga. You had a bunch of Canadians win the LNB.
Real quick on that note, Canadians were a part of all major league finals this year in Europe. They were a part of the Italian league final, the Polish league final, the German league final, the French league final, the Finnish league final, the Belgian league final, the Czech league final. And the Turkish league and the Turkish league final. 8 different European top flight European leagues feature Canadians in them. So that's just a little bit of bragging on that
respect.
One. But
I would be curious about how many of those Canadians actually played real roles on their team. But
most of them. Sclater is the only one really who didn't.
Blanking out.
Well, oh yeah, Turkey, Blankenau and Perrin. Perrin would have, if not for the foreign rule. But okay, so 2 of them. Other than that, they're all playing legitimate roles.
I was just trying to pull up the stats for the third place series because, I can't find them. I don't know if the website isn't working just for me, but I do know that you've got them. Okay. Because my understanding is that Yuki Ishikawa absolutely balled out and helped Milano.
Yeah, he was an absolute baller. He scored 18 in game number 3. He scored 28 in game number 4.
28.
He had his efficiency. Actually, let me pull this up real quick because I was looking at this earlier. His efficiency on the series was something insane. Where is this? Oh yeah, Ishikawa's efficiency was like a 420.
Whoa!
In the third place series against Trentino, for 87 points across the 4 games. Yeah, which is pretty gnarly. So, if let's just say if the ones who are going after me were trying to defend Ishikawa, they would have a lot more solid ground to stand on. This dude continues to impress, right? This of course isn't as big as what happened last year, but once again, he absolutely delivers for this team. And now there is some big asterisks. No Daniele Lavia in the final games for Trentino. They did get Spertoli back, but it's kind of like a la Zaxa, where you regain one player and you lose another one. So, but Rob, like, we were laughing that like there was going to be one of Monza and Milano in the Champions League next year, and now we've got 2 of them, and now we've got both of them. And luckily, though, Milano is more or less the same team.
No, they're losing Yuki Ishikawa. He's going to Perugia, as far as we know.
Oh shoot, I did. And, yeah, and Nazaire's gone too. Never mind.
Nazaire is gone. I don't remember who they're picking up, but it is likely that obviously Perugia will play Champions League next year, but it is likely that both teams from the greater Milan area, Milano and Monza, will not be particularly good representatives of Italy in next year's Champions League. And that, I think, falls on the shoulders of Trentino, because we've got to talk about them for a minute. Their season is not over yet. They have one more chance to redeem what kind of, in my opinion, has been well, not a bit. This is an extremely disappointing finish for Trentino. They have failed to win a major trophy this year after being arguably the best team in all of volleyball throughout the regular season. Their floor was so high. It was so difficult to beat them. Obviously, the loss of Riccardo Spertoli hurt badly. I think it would be easy to claim that they would have beaten Monza in the semis if Spertoli had played the series. I will go ahead and claim that. But
yeah,
4th in the Scudetto playoffs and not playing Champions League next year is not good enough, regardless of the circumstances, for a team of that caliber. And if they were to lose in the Champions League final on Sunday and walk away from this season with 0 trophies, there would be probably some pretty nervous people up there in northern Italy and Trento.
Yeah, I would be as well. And I mean, you look at it; they got 3rd at the Super Cup, 3rd at the Italian Cup, 4th in Serie A, and now they're potentially like they're still up there for the Champions League, but they're going to be going up again. I mean, we're going to talk about this a little bit, but they're going to be going up against what feels like a bit of a wagon right now in JW. So we're like the status of Daniele Lavia is really like, if there's no Lavia, I don't know if I'm going to wake up for the game. I'll be that honest. It's at 10 a.m. here.
Yeah, 10 a.m.
Right. I don't work. I work during the day on Saturday. That means I have a rare Saturday night off, which in my industry is like gold. So, and yeah, I don't coach on Sunday because I took it off because I wanted to watch the Champions League finals, and it looks like only the women's final is going to be interesting. No Daniele Lavia. But yeah,
God,
looking at next year's Champions League, it's going to be interesting. It really is. I think this is a perfect time for Poland to just establish the domination, right? No, I mean, Lube is going to be a bit of a mess next year, but no Trentino, like weird Milano and Monza teams that are both taking massive step backs. Like things are going to switch up. But with how everything looks for Perugia next year, my favorite team might still be, like, if we're calling early favorites here, I still think my favorite team to win it all is going to be an Italian team.
Oh yeah, next year's Perugia is going to still be a very heavy favorite to win just about everything, regardless of everything else that happens. This is just a good reminder that this Bush League transfer garbage that we allow in club volleyball to build next year's roster before even the new year hits is the most ridiculous thing in all of sports, and I hate it so much.
I'm going to go out to say that it is as detrimental to volleyball as the sideline view.
Ouch.
Yes, absolutely.
I agree.
Right?
I agree, though. It's extremely detrimental to volleyball.
The fact that teams can't create any type of continuity with that, like, that you're signing the best players, you're signing contracts in November.
It's the worst. And
then you have to potentially play your future team. It's just so ugly all around. It's just so ugly all around. Let's just wait until, and I understand that you don't want to do things during national team season, but it's just another indication of how ragged we run our athletes.
Yeah,
right?
Seriously.
That there's no time for them.
All right. Anything else about the Scudetto? Anything else about wrapping up one of our favorite leagues in the world?
No, that was an awesome run to watch. I had so much fun watching it. It just, I think we're really starting to see a level of parity right now in the world where there's so many quality players coming out from different places and not just the same countries. You know, it's not just you've got guys from Tunisia and Luxembourg and in Canada and Japan and all these places having big impacts in Italy and in Poland, and that's awesome to see, right? That's why we're seeing this much parity. That's why we're seeing a 5th place team that goes all the way to the final. That's why we see a 6th place team that wins a 3rd place, because there's so much parity in the world, and we love that.
Well said. Very well said. Well, speaking of leagues where there is not very much parity, congratulations again to Amoco Conegliano. Just an incredible run that this team has gone on. They have won yet another women's scudetto. They defeat Scandicci 3-1 in the final. And Everett, the stat that really says it all for me is that the Conegliano has won more trophies this year than they have lost matches.
Holy shit. I mean,
they have won 3 trophies, and they could win a 4th on Sunday. And they have lost 2 matches the entire season. They lost 1 to Novara in the semis. They lost 1 to Scandicci in the final. It is absolutely bananas how good this team has been. under the leadership of Daniele Santarelli, and congratulations to them, because what I really like about them is that the victories are never lost on them. All the celebrations and all the reactions to achieving their goals, they really do soak it in, and it feels to me like they know how hard they've worked to have earned all these things. But my goodness, is this franchise dominant? They are so dominant.
I think, you know what, Rob? I think one of the reasons, well, there's two big reasons why this team is so dominant. And the first one is that person right there, front and center on that screen, Joanna Volleyball. Her exuberance and the way that she plays the game and the way that she leads this team is unparalleled. And you talk about how they hard they selly, and she's always front and center, right? Remember when they won the Champions League in, what was it, like 2021? When it was the first year of the Zaxa run, and like Semeniuk's doing the interview, and she comes in is like yelling Polska, like she's just says such a good energy. But the number,
I love her. And I love her game too. Obviously, she's the best setter on the planet. And like building,
but the number, I don't even want to focus on the numbers of the games here, because there was for a second, much like Game 4 in the Monza Perugia series, there was a second after set number 1 where Antropova dropped 7 points, and you're like, oh shit, can Scandici do this again? Can they push it a little bit more? And then Conegliano like shut the door and was like, haha, no. You know, it's like kind of like the kids trying to sneak and like watch TV at night, and the parents finally see it and they're like, haha, no, kids, and they just shut the door and ran off with this. But the number that I want to focus on here, Rob St. Clair, is 6. That's 6 straight titles for Conegliano in the Italian league. And it would probably be 7 if it weren't for COVID. There's only 2 members of this team who have been a part of that 6 title run. And there's only 2 members, one of whom was with this team before, albeit not in their current position. And the other one was a newcomer back for that first title. Who do we think the 2 people who came into this team back in 2017? Who do you think joined this team in 2017 to start a 6 title run?
I would have to assume one of those people is Monica De Gennaro.
You're wrong.
Really? Is one Robin de Cruyff?
No.
Really?
Actually, let's make that 3. Robin de Cruyff is one of them. Is she still on the team?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she is. Yeah. Okay, so never mind. Make them 3. I'm looking for like the 2 most impactful people on this team.
Well, Santarelli clearly has to be one of them.
Santarelli, he was an assistant coach for under Mazzanti in 2016, 2017. Yeah, he was an assistant coach under Mazzanti, and he took the head coaching role in 2017, the same year that Joanna Volleyball joined the team.
Yep, that is a recipe for success. If you, God forbid, they were ever to team up on the national team level, that would just be a cheat code. But they have completely dominated the club game, and it's been incredibly impressive to watch. And they do it while being a really easy team to root for. I have a really easy time rooting for Conegliano. I find them really fun to watch, and I find they're just they're obviously you win 6 in a row, but there's just such a fantastic franchise. They seem to be just such a great organization, top to bottom. And I think in volleyball, it's really important that we celebrate great organizations. Like it's why we celebrated so much the run that Zaxa went on the last 3 years, because that was a great organization doing great things. And this Conegliano franchise is a great organization doing great things. But you said you didn't want to talk about the numbers that much. The only number I need to talk about is 70. That is Isabel Haak's scoring total in the last 2 matches.
She's gross.
70 points, including 41 in match number 3, a 4-setter, over 10 points per set in a scudetto final game. That is ridiculous. I don't know how many 40-point matches I've ever seen anywhere in volleyball, and to pull one out to win your team a game in the finals is crazy. And then she followed it up with 29 to grab the MVP and win the Scudetto game in 4. It's ridiculous what Isabel Haak has done since joining Conegliano.
Kira O'Neary in the chat saying she has 134 points in 4 matches, which is averaging, which is over an average of 40 points a match. No, 30 points.
It's like 30
points
and change a match.
Sorry.
32 points a match. That's
volleyball,
ridiculous.
But that's
crazy.
Still that's so filthy. And that's the thing too, is that when you look at this run from Conegliano, is that they've done it with different point people, right? They've done it with the Gonu. They've done it with Haak. And how, like, what I would give to see Haak on a relevant national team. Actually, no, I don't want that, because then that would take away, like, they would slot in before Canada. That's exactly what would happen. If Haak played on a relevant national team, they would be better than Canada.
Yeah, just about any team, even Sweden. God, that I know they're not good, but she is so single-handedly amazing that she could single-handedly carry a team awfully far, even if they're Sweden. But there are just so many people to shout out on this Conegliano team. The chat is already doing it. I'm a huge Monica De Gennaro fan. I love her game. I think she's so rock solid. Her passing numbers are just absurd. 89% positive in game 4, 61% perfect in game 4. You literally cannot serve anywhere near her. And what that does to opposing servers is a very big deal. And it's just really fun that she and Santarelli are married. And I just really like that dynamic.
Really?
And then, did you not know that? Yeah, dude. De Gennaro and Santarelli are husband and wife. Yeah, they've done a lot.
That's wild.
Can't believe
I didn't know that at all. I didn't know that at all. That's wild.
And also the American outside hitter duo, Kelsey Robinson-Cook and Catherine Plummer. Plummer especially, I thought, was just a rock star this whole playoffs. 18 in game 4, practically automatic on offense, just a really important bailout offensive outlet that just other teams didn't have a score like her, and no longer a passing liability like she used to be, at least in this playoff run. And I love to see that. I think that could be a big X factor for the American national team this summer. And I give her and Kelsey Robinson both huge credit.
Apparently, the chat is telling me that you've told me this information before. So that there we go. Our chat knows better about what we talk about than we do, which is
you do.
Awesome.
Speak for yourself.
All right, fair enough. But I know that I generally, this time of year, this is generally where I get critical of Catherine Plummer, because usually she flakes away like a good croissant. But this time she stayed through it. Right. And she stayed through it. Her serve receive has solidified great. And she was able to play that secondary role, that P1 but secondary role, where she struggled. You know, how many times have we seen her kind of crumble and become irrelevant in the finals? And I mean, like, once again, like, Alexa Gray gave us one of the greatest performances ever in Scudetto's or female Scudetto's finals history. Because Catherine Plummer was having an off game, right? And playing poorly in the final. And to me, Rob, when you watch how solid Kelsey Robinson-Cook numbers, I mean, her passing numbers, sure, she's not getting targeted nearly as much with only 15 targets, but still 73% positive in that final game just kind of shows you. And to me, if it's not Kelsey Robinson-Cook and Catherine Plummer for starting for Team USA in the VNL at the very least, but hopefully the Olympics, I think it's a massive mistake by Karch. They've clearly been the best all year. Like they have to be 1-2 for me.
Oh, I definitely agree. Plus, just the chemistry of having played together the entire club season. Yeah. That like you can't fake that. You can't manufacture it. They've worked at that over the course of the club season. I agree. I feel better about the American women's national team this summer because of how good this outside hitter duo played for Conegliano this year. So that is awesome. Congrats to them. I think Scandici should feel pretty good about their performance. I mean, they took a match in the final, and I don't think they got swept in any of the games either.
They didn't.
They won game 1 in 5. They lost game 2 in 5, lost games 3 and 4, both in 4. Like, that is very honorable. Very honorable. I don't think if you play that series 50 times, I don't think Scandicci wins a single one. So I give them credit because they represented
maybe
very well.
one. Maybe
I don't
one.
think so.
I do think that we need to acknowledge the rise of Antropova.
Oh yeah,
and that I think we discussed it a little bit, that I was very interested to see Antropova actually step in and be a number one option, right? And be that number one option. And I mean, she's really been up there. I know you've got Agonu as your number one, and Velasco's gone out there and said, hey, like, Agonu's our number one, as he should. Antropova's making that decision a little bit more difficult. Once again,
not Everett.
Absolutely, she is. Just once again, like you know that she can go out and put points. That just puts your finger on the trigger a little bit quicker.
It's very nice to have. Well, the reason why Antropova is going to be a real nice factor on the Italian national team this summer is not to start over Paola Agonu. It's to
that's not what I'm saying.
When Italy has they're probably going to have one terrible team in their pool, and you can start Antropova in that match and ride her the whole way and feel very, very good about it, and that's a luxury. So, Brian,
you can start Antropova. I think you can start Antropova against any team in the world. I think
not any team in the world.
Yes, I absolutely. Antropova's a top 5 opposite now.
I think
you slot in Antropova above Stuziak, above you can she's competing with Stuziak right now, and it's like she's better than her in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah, I would put Antropova 5. Yeah, probably Antropova 5, Stuziak 6. Yeah. Karakurt, right? Depending on what position she's playing, maybe 7, maybe Thompson, Van Rijk.
Yeah,
like none of but the drop off after the top 4 is still very significant, and Paola Agonu is in that top 4. I would put her.
I don't think I think the drop off from Antropova after it is significant, and I think that's exactly what she's been showing us this season, right? And to me, Rob, it's not even when in the I think Antropova is going to play minutes in big games, because we all know that Agonu is a bit of a roller coaster emotionally. We know that she has a bit of an up and down spirit. When you know that you can go in sets 3 and 4, when Agonu generally dips a little bit, her energy goes down, and then she always pumps back up for set number 5. You know that you can go to a top 5 opposite in the world. No other team in the world is going to be able to go from Paola Agonu to Ekaterina Antropova. That's what I'm saying here. You are going to be able to a double sub is way more possible now for Italy, and it's just a different look, but just as lethal. That's what, once again, there's no way that you could. It would be suicide for Velasco to start Antropova over Agonu, but Antropova is going to get minutes, right? If it would be terrible for Velasco to go the De Giorgi route and just play his starters.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's completely not an option. We'll see how they manage VNL, but that's a conversation for a couple of weeks from now.
No,
congrats again to Conegliano.
Turkey cannot go from Vargas to Karakurt because Karakurt's already on the court.
Starting outside hitter.
Come on, you know better than that, Ozzy.
Figure it out.
Figure it out. Sorry.
All right, figure it out. Congrats to Conegliano. They're the best team. I strongly believe they're the best team on the planet on either side.
Period.
They're the best team on the planet in all of volleyball. Period. Full stop. And they deserve this very much. All right, we got more leagues to talk about. Before we do that, Everett, it's time to talk about that volleyball store.
Over to thatvolleyballstore.com. Use the code SPICY to get 15% off of your entire order. Today was laundry day for me, and I had no spicy volleyball gear available, so I'm just wearing a blue sweater today. What are you wearing, Rob?
I'm wearing the USA volleyball T-shirt that we got in West Virginia.
Nice.
It's very nice. Shout outs to USAV, but I will be suiting up.
Are you suiting up tomorrow?
On the yeah, tomorrow and Thursday. We'll talk about that later on in the show. But if I see anybody here in Long Beach rocking 9x9 gear, I'll be very happy, and I want people to come up to me and take photos, because that would be very sweet. One of the things that you can also get on that volleyballstore.com is, of course, the Where's Daddy collection. It is It is our favorite segment where we take this beautiful man, Daddy Stankovic, and we hide him somewhere in the show, and y'all got to try and find him. And last week, I put Daddy towards the front right corner there with Halkbank Ankara as they were celebrating their Turkish Efeler Ligi title. Daddy is getting in on trophy season just like everybody else is. So Daddy was hidden there. Some of you found him. Bedola79 was the first one to catch it. Said Daddy wins with Halkbank. So yeah, if you happen to spot Daddy Stankovic in this episode, make sure you note the timestamp of where he is, and you wait until after the live stream is over and comment that timestamp in the main YouTube comment section below. And that is how you can earn yourself a shout out next week when we wrap up the club season with our last episode of the year.
Well, not really last episode of club, but we don't
club season.
Yeah, just the club season. Then we'll be transferring into what is going to be a spicy international season. Oh man!
But first, there are more champions to recognize. One of them is Yashemski Vengil. Congratulations to JSW. They have won the Plus Liga again. I think that's 3 out of the last 4 years, if I'm not mistaken. I think you
are mistaken. No, you're right.
Yeah, they've been in all four since the pandemic. They lost one to Zaxa, but they've won the other 3. This was a banger of a series. I loved this series. JSW ends up winning it 2-1. They went on the road. What in the fact that it's a 3-game series?
That you picked Zavierci.
Oh, I still feel real good about Zavierci, and I can talk about them in a minute. But we got to give JSW their flowers because they were awesome. They were the number 1 team in the regular season in what we have now decided is the best league in the world on the men's side. The Plus Liga is the best men's club league in the world. They dominated the regular season. They are playing for a Champions League title on Sunday, and they just won the league for the 3rd year out of the last 4. And I've been struggling to be convinced by JSW throughout this season, but the way they played in that final was convincing. Yeah. It was very, very convincing. I'm totally convinced. I am sold. I'm impressed. I am a believer. And there are several reasons for that. But the 2 people I want to shout out first are sort of more unsung heroes. First is Rafael Shimura. Rafael Shimura came to play. Rafael Shimura came to play this series because obviously second outside hitter was JSW's number 1 weakness coming into the season. God forbid at times we happen to see Marko Sedlacek wasting space on the court out there. But the fact that Rafael Shimura was able to be that rock solid, not be a serving target, he passed the ball lights out, and he had 34% efficiency in match 3, 12 points. Can't ask any more out of him than that. So he played his role super well. Then the other guy is the captain, their fearless leader, Yuri Glatter. Yuri Glatter is such a stud. I love watching him. He is such a fireball. He's so passionate. I love his serve. I love how involved he gets, and I love how just the way he embodies what a captain is all about to me. And I'm happy for him amongst all the other bigger names that score more points for JSW.
If I ever became paraplegic and Yuri Glatter was my coach, I'd still run through a wall for him. But real talk, yeah, he is ridiculous. I mean, he had 4 blocks in game number 1, was just dominant, and like JW dominated down the middle, and that's really where where things happen. The pairing of Yuri Glatter and Norbert Huber, Huber averaged over a 1.2 blocks this year. Percent.
Yeah, it's one of the great blocking seasons in volleyball history. It's incredible.
Well, I think it might be the best. And in volleyball, we suck at taking stats and keeping history because telling stories doesn't fucking matter. But good Simone years, he's blocking 0.7 balls per set. 1.2 in a league. In a league where efficiency is way higher because they don't swing on the ball ever, right? In a league where they love to dips and doozy and right, Trentino complains about Monza playing ugly volleyball or sticky volleyball, that's a regular Tuesday in the Plus Liga, and they play games on Tuesday, unlike the Superliga, right? So, like, and I know, like, our Polish friends were telling us that Huber was the best kind of all year long from the beginning, and we gave them a lot of hype. But then there was at one point where we started doing the math, and we were like, "Oh shit! Like, it's not even close. Like, it wasn't even close. He was an absolute monster this year." And the crazy thing to think is that there is a very real possibility he doesn't even start for Poland. There will be matches that he legitimately will not start for Poland and be coming off the bench. But that's another discussion altogether.
Yes, it is.
I think that JW really pulled it together, kind of in the end. I was really wondering what was going to happen after Xavier looked so good at home in game number 2, but JW was so good. Patry, I think
No, that was
Patry,
the
I know
thing.
you.
Yes, I love Jean Patry. Xavier won on the road in game 2. Games 2 and 3.
Oh, you rest.
You
You are right. Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, Xavier got donged at home in game 1. I was going to shout out Jean Patry as well because I love him and I still think that he should have been the MVP of the 2020 London Olympics. And he did, as a consolation prize, win a Plus Liga and was the MVP of game 3. So good for him. I think he's a rock star. And then Benjamin Toniuti's Plus Liga career is ridiculous. His resume at this point is like almost none other like ever in volleyball. It was truly one of the greats ever and a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, 100%. Toniuti. I mean, he has the chance now to potentially win a second Champions League with a second team, right?
Right.
Because he won with Zaxa. Zaxa back in year number 1, but just if you take a step back, we talked about the Plus Liga being the best league in the world. If they are able, like if JW is able to take it home this weekend, that'll be
4 Champions Leagues in a row for Poland potentially.
Not only four Champions Leagues in a row, but it'll be all of the European trophies for Poland this year too.
Oh, you're right. CV Cup and Challenge Cup. Great point. Great point.
So JW is on an, like, I really truly enjoy watching this team play, and there was points in this season, Rob, where I was agreeing with you, where I thought Xavier was the best team, but the way that JW was able to pull together, that's just very pretty volleyball to watch. Also, I didn't realize that there was so much hate for Jean Patry in the Discord. They acted like he was a complete fraud, which just goes to show how much, like, I love the Discord, but like almost like 60 to 70% of the said shit that's said on those servers is complete nonsense.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've never understood the hate for Jean Patry. I love the guy. I am sad for Xavier. I felt great about my preseason pick of them winning the Plus Liga. I felt great about the season that they had. Unfortunately, they got absolutely dominated down the middle, like you said. Miłosz Zniszczko was completely invisible. Completely invisible. He had absolutely nothing to do with this series. Biniak was good, but not good enough. And then, unfortunately, in game 3, Kara Butryn wasn't very good. Well, he actually wasn't really good in any of the games this series. I think he was like single-digit efficiency in game 2 that they won and negative efficiency in game 3 with the season on the line. So it was too bad because he had a great year, but I was kind of calling it last week, the Greyhound versus the Bulldog, and the Greyhound was definitely the better player and Jean Patry in the final for sure. But Xavier, they get second. That's their highest in the history of their franchise. They will play Champions League next year again. It seems to be that they're building a very good roster again next year, including potentially the return of a certain Fat Ron Russell, which I love.
Ooh, really?
And
has he played for them before?
Sure. So no, but he's just back to Europe and back to Champions League. I'm super excited.
Has Fat Ron ever played in Poland? It's crazy. It's crazy to me how I think, and other people can tell me wrong, but I think it's more desirable to play in Poland right now, especially once they go back to playing less games, right? And once they scale it back in a few years, because just because of the star power that the Polish league brings, you get to be on TV every single time you play. right? That to me at the end of the day is what it is, right? Like somebody was pointing out about how the stars in Poland have really grown. Like Fornal is massive in this country now, right?
Fornal is an
Yeah,
international
he's like
superstar for
he's
sure.
got millions of followers on Instagram, and he's a household name in a lot of ways for Poland. So that is where it is so desirable to play in this league. It's increased so much in the past few years, and that's really such a testament to Polish volleyball.
Yeah, people also want us to shout out Bartosz Kwolek, and he deserves it.
How
You're
did we
absolutely
forget
right. He
you?
was
How did you
Xavier
and
Che's
I
best
forget about
overall
Kolek?
player.
Right? We are yeah.
He was there. Yeah. Our bad. He deserved that. He was the best player on their team for the entirety of the playoff run. Just awesome. Continues to just put up bangers of games, like over 40% efficiency in just about every game that I watched. So he was great. Congratulations to him on great playoffs. It's he would start on most other national teams in the world, but might not even crack the lineup, might not even crack the roster in Poland, which is insane. And then I wanted to talk about the third place series as well, because Projekt Warszawa took down Resovia in a 6-0 in sets in 2 matches. The series was over. An absolute meltdown by Resovia, especially after they really should have won in the semis, up big in set 4, match 2 against JSW. But anyway, I'm happy for Warszawa. Awesome season for them. They won Challenge Cup. They took third in the Plus Liga. They will go back to the Champions League next year, and I'm excited to see what they do there. A classic Resovia disappointment once again.
Resovia. I don't know what to say. I really don't.
There's nothing to say.
There is nothing to say. One thing I did love to watch about Warszawa down the run is that a lot of Taylor Averill content out there. A lot of Taylor Averill getting out there. We thought for a while, like, hey, he cut his hair. Maybe that affected his game. A little bit of a Samson situation. But no, he stepped up.
Good reference.
Very much. And he stepped up and made it happen. And I once again, and we've talked about this before, that I love when because in general, I don't know if the people at home watch this, especially if you're North American, but our view of sports is big cities have sports teams, whereas in Europe,
right.
all cities have sports teams, all towns have sports teams. Now they could be like non-league teams, Sunday league teams, leagues, but whatever it may be. But typically, volleyball is a small city league or sport. You know, it's rare. Like most big cities, like if you look at Germany, like most of the big cities don't have bad teams. Like Berlin does, pretty much none of the big cities. And Poland is kind of that similar. So I love the fact that Warszawa is in there, and that Champions League volleyball will be in one of the big metropolises and one of the best cities in Poland. Just continues to grow the legacy over there in Eastern Europe.
Yep, it is good for the game to be playing big time volleyball in major cities. 100%. So good for Warszawa. Also, you mentioned Berlin a hot second ago. Congratulations to Berlin. Of course, they reverse swept and won this series. Of course they did. Some numbers for you, Everett. This is Berlin, the Berlin Recycling Volleys. This is their 8th Bundesliga title in a row.
Wow.
Can you imagine winning 8 in a row, winning 8 of your domestic leagues in a row? Like the consistency and the consistency of excellence from the franchise, but with all the different casts of characters that they have had, and the fact that they have just kicked Friedrichshafen's ass up and down that country year in and year out in the final I wasn't even surprised that down 0-2 in the series, Berlin came back to win. I was not surprised at all. And
but this literally goes back to exactly what I was talking about 2 seconds ago, Rob, because there is like Berlin is a big metropolitan city that plays in a big stadium that gets good crowds. That is, if we're talking about fantastically well-run clubs, Berlin has to be in the conversation. Maybe not one of the top, but like give me a top 15 club in Europe type of situation, a club that is consistently at the top of their league, a club that is consistently, from what I hear, a fantastic place to play for players, that has good crowds, and once again in a big city. But when you look at like Friedrichshafen is a tiny little town on a lake, basically in southwest Germany, right? Like there is no other big cities that play in the Bundesliga, so it does make sense that they dominate to that extent.
Sure, yeah, it does. I mean, they have the biggest budget. They have by far the most resources, but you would think that they would at least like slip up and lose one of the years, but they don't. They've won 8 in a row, down 2-0 in the series, backs against the wall. They won game 3 at home, which is very predictable. And then, just like we said on last week's show, it was all going to come down to game 4 on the road in Friedrichshafen. If Berlin were to win that game, set up a match 5 at home, there are 0 universes where Berlin does not win the title at that point. But match number 5 was very, very dramatic. Friedrichshafen was up 2-1. They were up, let's see, it was tight early in the 5th. I wish I could have watched this game. It would have been great. But a guy who deserves a lot of credit, shout out to Ozzy in the chat, is Nehemiah Mota. He was everywhere. He dropped 19 out of the middle in game 4. 19, 12 for 17 attacking, 6 blocks and an ace, and led the team in serving attempts. So he was gnarly. And then, just like I said last week, if Berlin was going to come back in this series, Marek Schotler was going to have to play better, and he did. He did. 24 in game 4. And then match number 5 was one of the most epic dongings in the history of volleyball on a big stage. 16, 17.
Yuck.
Ouch.
Just yuck. Not one of the Friedrichshafen players getting into double digits. Mikael Superlak almost did with 9, but hitting 8 for 24 with a negative efficiency ain't gonna do it for you in the finals, bud.
Never in doubt.
No.
When as soon as Berlin came back and won match number 4, the series was over. Congratulations to them. Seriously, 8 in a row is ridiculous. Congratulations to that club. You're right. That by all accounts, it's a fantastic organization, great place to play. Good for Cody Kessel too, by the way.
What's more impressive, 8 in a row by Berlin or 6 in a row by Conegliano?
Conegliano. It's much harder league. Much harder league.
That's the right answer. I might have to disown you as my partner if you said anything otherwise.
Oh well,
put you out there with the Rand fans.
Yeah, congrats to Berlin. Well done. Great comeback. Good final series. Also, congrats to Saint Nazaire.
Yeah, let's
the
go.
7 seed comes out of nowhere and wins the LNV, or the Marmara Spike League, whatever the hell you want to call it. They needed a golden set to do so. It was super dramatic. They beat Tours in a golden set, 15-12. After I think they dropped the second. Yeah, Tours won the second match in 5. Which I'm still confused about this format, because Saint Nazaire won game 1 in 4. So why was a golden set even necessary? Because the second game went to 5. I truly don't know. But Saint Nazaire, the 7 seed, came out of nowhere with a whole bunch of North Americans and won the Marmara Spike League. Jordan Ewert, 19 points. Jordan Schnitzer, 15 points on 10 for 14 attacking, 3 blocks and 2 aces out of the middle. Canadian boy, that was sick. Ensing, 13. And Quinn Isaacson set the whole squad. So, and huge congratulations. This was, I think, the lowest seed that I know of to have won their league through the playoffs in all of Europe. If anybody
this
knows
season for sure
a different one. This season. If anybody knows somebody lower than a 7 seed who won their league, please put it in the chat. But huge congratulations to Saint Nazaire with all their North Americans. This is really cool.
Yeah. Sucks that this team will also be disbanding a little bit next year. I've heard some rumors of where Schnitzer's going.
Oh yeah, I'll pick your brain about that one. I think we know that Quinn Isaacson's going to the Plus Liga, which is sick.
He's going to Norvid.
That's
apparently
right.
Schnitzer's going to Milano.
No way, really?
Yeah, go check Canada in the Discord.
Wow,
I'm not the one reporting this news. We've got Italians and Finns and all these other Europeans who are saying it for us. So, apparently Schnitzer's going to play for Milano. Apparently he's going to replace Lazaire.
Wow, that would be incredible. Yeah, congrats to Saint Nazaire. This is really cool. And I, like people in the chat are saying, I am happy that Torres lost. I am happy that Torres lost. I love Luciano Polonsky, but I still think it was bullshit that they
No,
were able to pick him up that late. I feel bad for
I,
Chamon.
I'm going to push back
And
on that, Rob, because we have some new information. Have you watched? Out of System did an episode where they broke down the end their seasons, and Joe talks about how poorly Chaumont played in those. He doesn't even mention Polonsky in his breakdown. He's like, yeah, they got one of the guys like Polonsky. He's pretty good, but he only talks about the dysfunction and how Chaumont broke down the course. And because he's going back, and it was really, really eye-opening. I would suggest you go back and listen to it.
oh, I
mean,
will.
it's a pretty eye-opening, because like all three of them give a breakdown of their seasons and how they did. But Joe was like dejected about how they finished the year and how they were playing throughout the playoffs in general. And just saying that like they were playing some of their worst volleyball of the year, and guys were questioning themselves, and there was a lot of like unease and uncertainty on that roster, and that some things are going to need to be addressed before next season. So that to me is like as close to you can get from the horse's mouth. So I don't think Polonsky maybe had as much of an impact as we thought he did maybe just from the outside.
Okay, well, yeah. If from their own locker room, Chaumont is saying that they kind of blew it, then I will take them for their word, and I will definitely go back and listen to that. Shout outs to
and like
our
because
friends at
Ozzy's saying in the chat right now, he's saying Joe was brutal, man, and that's kind of the vibes I was getting from Joe after like it seemed like he was not satisfied with his own performance.
Well, he is going back there next year, so hopefully they have more success. But yeah, congratulations to Saint Nazaire. This is very, very cool. I'm excited to see both Quinn Isaacson and Jordan Ewert and Kyle Ensing, all three of them, at least in they're all three on the preliminary U.S. national team roster for the summer. So hopefully they get some looks. All right, Everett, there are exactly 2 matches left in the club volleyball season, and it is none other than the Champions League SuperFinals. It was you couldn't have blamed anybody if they had forgotten about this, because it's been so darn long since we talked about Champions League. But going down this Sunday is both the Champions League SuperFinals in Antalya, Turkey at 10 a.m. Eastern time. It will be the men's match, Trentino versus JSW. At 1 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday, it will be the women's match, Conegliano versus Monza. I'm excited to be doing some coverage on the CEV YouTube channel. Me and Key Michael, who's a friend of the show, will be doing a live watch along for both games. So
it'll chirping you so much.
Good.
I'm making alts. I'm making alts. I hope you know that. I will
Rob,
be making alts.
That take sucked. Good. I'm gonna try and play, instead of Where's Daddy, it'll be Where's Everett. Which one of those clowns in the chat is one of Everett's alts? It'll probably be one of the only ones speaking English, because we know how the CEV YouTube chat.
I speak French too, baby.
That's a good point.
Let's go.
All right,
go.
so we got to preview these games. First and foremost, Trentino versus JSW. Trentino has a whole lot to prove. I thought, weirdly enough, like JSW is riding on top of the world, but I don't think JSW has any pressure. I don't think they have any pressure. I think Trentino is the team that has all the pressure on them to win this, given that they're not going to be playing Champions League next year.
Yeah, I almost agree with it. I do agree with that. I think like I would not want to be in Trentino's shoes right now. I'm going to back this up a little bit, Rob, and I'm a little bit worried for this Sunday. I'm not going to lie. I did tell you earlier in the week, and I did mention to some people that I was just like, hey, like maybe we'll get together and watch it at a bar. The games are at 10-1. Sorry. But like I'm going to get breakfast and watch the game with breakfast from my own home, right? That's naturally what's going to happen. I thought it would be maybe a little bit later in the afternoon, but no, we're going to rock it in the middle of the day. I know it's in Europe, but whatever. I'm worried that these matches might
It's not in Europe, it's actually in Asia. Antalya, Turkey is in Asia. Just to be technical about
regardless. I think we might I think we might be in for 2 stinkers. Like we might be.
I'm a little bit worried about that.
We might be worried. Like worried if there's no Daniele Lavia, out there for Trentino, and they've just gone through 2 heart-wrenching series where, like, I don't know, like at one point they were one of the most dominant teams in the world, and now they're going to be trophyless potentially. Yeah, like you're right. Like so much pressure is on Trentino here, right? And without Livia, I don't give them any chance. I don't like I
Oh yeah, if they didn't have Livia, there's
I
no
like maybe they win a set, maybe. But on the flip side of it, you've got a Conegliano team this is business as usual. They are going through a pretty typical work week where they played on Saturday and they have to play a following Sunday. And given that the playoff schedule usually play like a Wednesday, Thursday game and then like a weekend game, like it's even a little bit better for them. They get a little bit time off, but they're still in that rhythm. Milano, without that bronze medal match or bronze medal series in this Lega Volley Femminile, don't have any of that benefit. They're going to be coming in cold and disappointed, right? So I think that the Conegliano train just might not even stop to pick up Milano on the way to the match, right? Like they're just going to blow right past them and it's going to be ugly. And the same thing might happen in the men's match.
I hope that that's not what happens. Obviously, like we don't want the Champions League Superfinal to be a stinker, but at least on the women's side, Conegliano is a substantially better team than Monza in really every single way. They are in rhythm, they are warm, they just won a trophy, they have playing with a ton of confidence,
and they're better.
The only reason, and they're better top to bottom,
right?
But I will never count out Paula Egonu in a Champions League final. I will never do that.
Yeah.
This is the one moment, the one match a year where she, without fail, shows up and plays like the best player in the world. I mean, how many of this is her 5th in a row, which is absurd. And in each of the previous 4, she has been the best player on either team, even though she lost one of those. Her last year with Conegliano when they lost to Vakavmek. Paula Egonu in the Champions League final is a different animal. And it is so different that it might single-handedly keep Monza, at least in this match, if not give them a chance to win it. I will still go absolutely on record and pick Conegliano. I'm going to go ahead and pick Conegliano 3-1, and I'm going to write that down right now. But the only reason I don't think it'll be a 3-dong runaway is because of the greatness of Paula Egonu in this exact situation.
Okay.
What's
Fair
your
enough.
pick? What's your women's pick on the record, including set score? I'm writing them down.
Oh, including set score. I think we're going to go with 3-1 Conegliano. The only thing that I'm thinking of is that it's sometimes hard to beat a team a lot of times in a season.
Not if you're Conegliano.
And Conegliano is 4-0 against Milano this year, or Monza, or whatever we want to call them. It's getting late here. It's like 2012. But I don't see them. It just doesn't even. It doesn't even compute. It is Champions League, so they don't deal with foreigner rules, but then neither does Conegliano. So no, it's still Conegliano. Yeah, 3-1.
Okay. How about the men's?
If Livia isn't playing, 3-0 JW.
Let's assume that he is. Let's assume both teams are at full strength.
3-2 JW.
Okay, I've got 3-2 Trentino.
Okay.
I actually kind of like Trentino here. I think Alessandro Micheletto is the best player on either team. I still think that he's the best player on the planet as of this moment. I think that he's the type of guy to not the disappointment that Trentino has felt the last month is being very different than what they've felt this entire season. The disappointment of this last month does not sit well with Alessandro Micheletto. He is a competitor like that. He is probably very pissed off about the way that everything has gone, and he, I think, will refuse to let his season end this way. And you get Riccardo Sbertoli back. They have at least a week and a half to prep for this game. That's a little more time than JSW has. I like their ability to game plan against that team. I actually am not. I think the middle matchup, this will be among the better middle duos that JSW has played against all year in Pedrashin and Kozamernik.
Better
to
than
slow down
Warszawa?
Huber and Glader. Yeah, oh yeah. Pedrashin and Kozamernik, I think, is better than any duo that Warszawa can put out there. I do think they're younger and more experienced, but yeah, I have a good feeling about Trentino here. I kind of just hope for their club's sake that they do win a trophy this year because their team's been so good and I feel like they deserve it. And
I don't. I want Italy to lose. It's nothing. It's nothing.
You want
against,
Italy to lose?
It's nothing against Trentino. I love Trentino as a club, and I will feel bad for them. But no, I want Italy to lose because Italy has been too good for too long by doing the absolute bare minimum, by not pushing the sport forward, by not making it any better, right? Poland is pushing the sport forward. So yes, I want other leagues to start slapping Italy around, and we even see it in the Discord too. The arrogance of the Italians sometimes just like makes me laugh and being like, ha ha ha, Japan adding 2 foreigner spots and bringing up a league minimum that would make that would surpass most of our team's budgets isn't going to affect us. Ha 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 ha. Poland isn't better than us. Ha 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 ha. So yeah, I want to see a Polish team win the Champions League for a 4th year in a row, slapping your best team in the process of doing that on the way to winning potentially an Olympic gold medal, while you guys are still sitting there like the bridesmaids, Katherine Heigl, 27 dresses, and telling us that you're still the best league in the world when you're really not. So yeah, I want Italy to win, I want Poland to win. I don't care who it is. I just want them to beat Italy because Italy needs to be better. If they step up and actually treating the sport like it is in 2020 and no longer like the glory days that it was in 1990, it would be better for the sport, and they need to be smacked around a little bit for that. But I disagree with you in the fact that Micheletto is the best player in the world right now. He has not been the best player in the world since the regular season. I'm sorry, beating Modena and then losing to Monza and Milano, right? Milano, on top of that, you have Spertoli back at the end of it. So you can't even blame things on Acquarone. Throughout the year, yes, but right now, in this moment in time, Rob St. Clair, Thomas Fornal is better than Alessandro Micheletto.
That is just false. That is just not true. That is simply not true.
Thomas Fornal is going to outplay Micheletto on Sunday. Micheletto has
just
been
not at all true. And that will not happen.
Micheletto has belonged on Piacenza for the majority of this playoff.
I think this might be one of your worst takes in the history of the show.
Whining.
What are we talking about
whining?
Here?
Like, you could see how it got to them. Micheletto's whining is what's part of what lost them the series against Monza. Right? His reactions, his emotional reactions to two-handed pushes, the tips, the throws, and all that stuff threw him off his game, and that's one of the reasons why they did not win against Monza.
I think this is the worst take that you've ever delivered on this show, and I cannot wait to rub this in your face a week from, well, probably not next Monday. We'll figure that out, but I cannot wait to come back to this take that you think that Tomas Fornal is better than Alessandro Micheletto and will outplay
in this moment in time. Yes. In the past month, yes.
That is just
over the course of the year. Overall, no. Like, if I was to do a ranking, but right now, no thoughts, just vibes. Going Tomas Fornal all day.
Clearly, no thoughts. Clearly, no thoughts. That is absurd. I can't wait to come back to that. All right. Anything else about Champions League? You should all figure out where to watch it. It is on Eurovolley TV. Also, it's on the CV YouTube channel if you pay for whatever their highest membership tier is.
What's the deal? Like, can I watch the game and your watch along at the same time?
Sure.
No.
Yeah. My watch along will be public.
Okay.
But we won't be showing any of the game because we can't.
That was my question. That was my question here. So that's just
no. You cannot watch You cannot watch the game with my commentary. That would break all the rights owners that pay to broadcast it in their countries. But I've got a good setup for Key and I to watch along the games. We're going to have the scoreboard visible at all times. We'll be able to show the pregame, the postgame, and the in-between sets. We just can't show all the balls in the air. So we'll be able to cover it pretty well. But yeah, we'll make sure you're getting the Discord. We'll let you know where you can watch all these games. It's very important that you watch both of these matches on Sunday. It's very important that everyone watches these games.
So important.
You know what else is important? It is time, Everett. It is time to preview an event that I am at, event that I'm very excited about. It's time to talk about the 2024 men's NCAA volleyball tournament. 8 teams for the first time ever. We're going to preview the quarterfinals. I'm going to make sure I clip this out and post it as its own video as a quarterfinal preview. Then I'm going to come back on Wednesday after I'm done calling the games tomorrow, and I'll do a live stream here to cover the cover the quarterfinals and preview the semifinals. Here are the matchups, Everett. We can dig into these in order going on tomorrow. Number 1, UCLA takes on number 8, Fort Valley State. Number 4, UC Irvine takes on number 5, Penn State. Number 3, Grand Canyon takes on number 6, Ohio State. And number 2, Long Beach State, playing at home, takes on number 7, Belmont Abbey. Where would you like to start, Mr. Delorme?
I mean, you tell me, because the reality here, Rob, unlike the U Sports National Championship, where there might be a little bit of intrigue in round 1, there's only one interesting game. Oh, actually, no, I'll shut up. There's 2 interesting games. So it's basically like U Sports. Let's be honest here. UCLA and Long Beach are going to win their first round matchups. I'm sorry.
Yes, they will.
I'm sorry to the SEAC. I'm sorry to the Conference Carolinas. But y'all just not relevant yet. We're happy you're here. Don't get us twisted out here. We're happy you're here, right? You have a spot at the table. You just can't play with the big dogs just yet. We're excited for that time. So how we talked a little bit about it last week after the conference tournaments. Let's start with Ohio State and Grand Canyon, because I think that one has the most intrigue. I talked about how I would be disappointed if I was Grand Canyon that they didn't get the number 1 seed. The UCLA was the number 1 team all year long. They knocked down UCLA in the finals of the MPSF. Still not that number 1 seed. But Grand Canyon, have they ever been to a national semifinal before?
Semifinal? No. Last year was their first NCAA tournament berth ever, and they lost in what was, I guess, like kind of the quarterfinals last year in that stupid 7-team bracket. But honestly, this is kind of perfect for Grand Canyon not getting a slightly higher seed that you could argue that they earned. This team plays with a massive chip on their shoulder. A massive chip on their shoulder. They start 3 guys who transferred in to GCU. 3 of their starters did not start their careers there. Jarrett Anderson is their opposite as of midway through the season. He's a lefty who played Division III his whole career at Springfield, then transferred in. Rico Wardlow is a middle that started at Purdue Fort Wayne, then transferred in.
He's at TikTok.
And he's one of the TikTok guys. And then why can't I remember who the other one was? I think Jackson Hickman, one of their outsides, might have started somewhere else. I'll make sure I figure that out before I call their game tomorrow. But GCU is a team of guys. This is according to their head coach, Matt Worley. I saw him in the hotel lobby before this, and I interviewed him last week, and he's telling me that Worley, the coach, he doesn't even have to manufacture this giant chip on the team's shoulder. That's just who they are. It's how they play. It's guys that have felt like they have always been individually and as a team overlooked. They feel overlooked, and they play that way. It's a team that if you dare chirp them even a little bit, you are dead. It's a team that almost has to manufacture their own hate or conflict or something to get them motivated. But that produces a team that's insanely fun to watch. And they have the second best setter in the country, in my opinion, in Nick Slight, who's a first-team All-American. The All-American teams were announced today. And the big move they made midway through the season, right around the time that they got ranked number 1 in the country, was they moved Camden Gianni, who started his career as an outside hitter. They moved him to the opposite last year. They moved him back to the left side, where I think he's a little bit better. I think he's better over there. Just a great dude with a big arm. Ball control is a little bit of a concern. but I do like his arm action on the left side better. Plus, you got a good lefty. So also two of my favorite middles in the country, Enrico Wardlow and Cam Thorne, both undersized, both insanely dynamic. So like this is a team that is really motivated, and don't you dare talk the slightest bit of trash to them. Worley told me a story that when they were playing Stanford in the NPSF tournament, Will Rotman from Stanford, who's a really good player, bounced a ball on him and gave a little stare down through the net. And after that, GCU went on a 17-5 run. You do not want to talk trash to that team.
Referees, this is why we just let the boys play. Let them play, baby. It'll all figure itself out. The ball will the ball will lead the way. Okay, we don't need your whistles. Okay, get off your high horses. Okay. We don't need any Angel Hernandez's in the volleyball world. Okay.
Oh boy, yeah. If you know an official's name, that's a good one.
Nice little baseball reference for you over there, Rob St. Clair. And the fact that you like baseball over soccer is just absolutely ludicrous. The fact that I even associate you when you have such a preference is ridiculous altogether. But you know what? I think I'm going to become a GCU fan. I'm going to adopt GCU as my team for this NCAA tournament, Rob. Just because I love the underdogs. I love the gritty mentality. I look great in purple. So you know what? I'm gonna be a GCU fan in this one. Now the other quarterfinal this one has to be.
I got to talk about Ohio State though for a little bit.
Shit, you're right. You're right. Tell me about Jacob Pasteur. I do think that Jacob Pasteur has one of the best arms in the NCAA. He actually might have the best arm.
Maybe the best.
I think he has the best arm in North America. I don't know anyone in U Sports who has an arm better than him, right? Heslinga jumps way better than Pasteur. It's not even close, and has way more control than him. I think Siskna is a pretty good all-around player, but no one hits the ball as hard as Jacob Pasteur, in my opinion.
Yeah, Pasteur's arm is awesome. And so Ohio State, very, very briefly at the beginning of the season, was ranked number 1 in the country. Very, very briefly. Then they had a much rockier conference season and was the 3 seed in the MIVA tournament. They stormed through it and won. They kind of how it was put to me was that midway through the year, or at a certain point in the year, they figured that they probably weren't going to get an at-large bid with some of the bad losses on their resume. And what they ended up doing was starting to do a little load management with Jacob Pasteur, because his knees have not been treating him particularly well this year. And they knew that if they could make a run through the MIVA tournament and get to the national tournament, which they are, they actually believe they have a chance to win a national championship. And I don't blame them. This is the best quarterfinal on paper by far to me. I think that Ohio State and Grand Canyon are actually very similar. Ooh, which is always real fun to see two teams that play similarly. GCU definitely talks more trash. GCU has a much better setter, but the Ohio State middles are rock solid, and nobody on any team can hit high balls at the efficiency and the terminal ability of Jacob Pasteur of Ohio State. The keys will be serve and pass for sure. Ohio State coach Kevin Birch claims that Ohio State is one of, if not the best passing teams in the country. And statistically, they're much better than GCU in reception. So keep an eye on that. And Pasteur is one of only 2 guys in the country with over 60 aces this year, which is a lot. And then the other thing is Shane Wetzel, this lefty on the right side for Ohio State. If he can be good, they have a very, very real chance to win this match. If he's not good, though, they have no chance to win this match, and GCU is going to be all over him. But this is a very spicy quarterfinal. Everett, I was going to say I like your GCU pick. It's like for them, jump on the bandwagon, except that they, I think, have the hardest first-round matchup of anyone.
They do, and I'm also realizing that Ohio State also has a Canadian by the name of Owen Pickering, who is a first-year out of Ottawa, Ontario, and my OG club, the Ottawa Fusion. So I am a little torn now. I'm sorry, GCU, but like I said, I look good in purple. The Fusion, actually, technically back then I was a Kangaroo. Ottawa Kangaroos go back, but we had purple jerseys. That's why I know I look good, right? So
my club I played for growing up was purple also, funny enough.
Yeah. It's I guess it's just the hallmark of guys who are meant to become broadcasters and shitty podcasters. Yeah, okay. So that just got real tough to pick out here, St. Clair, and
that one is 8
do
p.m.
you
Eastern tomorrow, and that I think will be the best match of the 4. So if there's one match for you, at least North Americans, to watch, it's that one, 8 p.m. Eastern
what
tomorrow.
time is this one at again? What
8
time did you say it was at?
8 p.m. Eastern, live on NCAA.com for free. We'll talk about that in a second. The other one that I think is going to be good is UC.
This one is at 10:30 p.m. Eastern.
No, I think those are switched.
I'm looking at the current NCAA website.
Oh no, is that the late game? Oh, that would be so bad. I would hate that.
That is the late game.
Oh no, I would hate that.
Yeah, because Long Beach has the 8 o'clock game, the primetime game.
Oh, you're right. Oh, that's such a bummer.
That is a bummer.
Yeah, that's a big mistake. The putting the best game last. Well, it's prime time for me on the West Coast, but that is too bad for everyone else. You'll have to just stay up late and watch it. Oh yeah, Ohio State Grand Canyon going to be really good. The other one that I think will be good is UC Irvine versus Penn State. It's the 4-5 game. You'd expect a 4-5 game to be good. UC Irvine has the best player. Ilir Heno is the best player in the country. He will win the National Player of the Year award this week. He has done just ridiculous things on ridiculous volume this year. I think he's at something like 5.5 points per set on the season, which for a college kid is outrageous. So the quantity along with the quality is way up there. And UC Irvine is just much, much bigger than Penn State at every position. And they have a cool story in Brett Sheward, who's their starting setter, who was a 2-time national champion libero at Hawaii, then wanted to set, and Hawaii brought in a 17-year-old to set for him this year, so it wasn't going to be him, transfers to Irvine, and gets the starting job. So that's really cool. Penn State is a very different team than Irvine. They are much smaller than probably any Penn State team I've ever seen. Both their starting outsides are 6'2", but they have a monster in the middle in Toby Ezeonu. He's basically unstoppable if you can get the ball to him. However, they have a freshman setter, which is always tough to make a tournament run with. And they do have a first-team All-American opposite, and that's going to be the key. This guy, John Kerr. Everett, you and I saw him in Austin last year at the First Point thing, and he played real well.
He wears a pair of chinos well, but also a good volleyball player.
Yeah, first EIVA Player of the Year. So Kerr, and this is what Mark Pavlik told me when we interviewed him last week, is that when Penn State digs balls, which they will, that is a good defensive team. Ryan Merck might be the best libero in the country. When they dig balls, they must terminate in transition. The last thing you want to do, the last thing that Pav wants to do, is give the ball back and allow Ilir Heno to take another swing. That is not what you want to do against UC Irvine. Heno is too good. When you get a chance in transition, you must terminate it, and that's going to come down to John Kerr. He is going to be the guy getting those high balls. Pav said he wanted no more than 25% of the offense on the left side of the court for the entire match.
Oh, what?
That is a very low number. He wants no more than 25% of the offense on the left side of the court.
Wow.
He wants 75% of his team's offense through the middle of the court and on the right side of the court. That's front court quick. That's the BIC. That's the right side.
Oh.
He does not want to go to his front court left side hitters that much. They're just both smaller guys, and what you have to do against Irvine is terminate, and that's not going to be the best recipe to do that. So when Penn State gets balls in transition, it's going to go to Kerr. He's got to be terminal. If he can do that and they can pass well enough to run Ezeonu in the middle a little bit, they've got a chance, but I don't see it. I got Irvine either 3-0 or 3-1.
Yeah.
I think Heno is way too good, and Penn State's seen nothing like it.
Yeah, I don't have the same trust in Penn State that I do of GCU. I mean, they're just the EVA just isn't. I know Pav would get mad if you guys called it the EVA, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to call it EVA if I want to. But the EVA is just not that great right now. Right. And Penn State is, I don't really rate them as much for, like, I think there's an outside chance that UCI could win a national championship this weekend.
I agree. I think that's possible. I think any of the top 4 seeded teams can legitimately
What about Ohio
win.
State?
I think this is as wide open as this tournament. If Ohio State beats Grand Canyon, they would have to play Long Beach in Long Beach. And I think Grand Canyon, being the chip on their shoulder team, matches up better in that environment than Ohio State does. Ohio State would have to pull off an all-time great serving performance if they were going to win 2 games in this tournament. Could definitely see them winning 1. It can be done. It legitimately can be done. This is a wide open tournament, and like Long Beach State, I think is very good. I have respect for Belmont Abbey and winning the CC. That's a league with a lot of parity. They've got some big players and they've got some good arms. But Long Beach State in Long Beach, very, very difficult. And then Fort Valley State against UCLA. It's actually Fort Valley State's coach is a buddy of mine. Shout out to Larry Rather. He's from Chicago. He was saying that of all the top seeded teams that Fort Valley State could have drawn, UCLA is their preferred because they've played them each of the last 2 years. And Fort Valley State is a morning team. They do a lot of training in the morning, and they're playing at 11 a.m. Pacific tomorrow. So and that's going to be much, much earlier than UCLA has played all season long. So he kind of likes that for Fort Valley State out of the SEAC, but it's still a level of serving that they will have never. Well, they've seen it now. They've played good non-con teams earlier in the year in California, but Fort Valley State, I don't think will be able to hang with that level of firepower. And UCLA is the type of team not to play down and not to like fall asleep against Fort Valley State. I think they're UCLA, I think, leads the country in hitting efficiency, and that will they will bump up their numbers tomorrow, I predict.
All right, fair enough. Sounds good. All right. Is there any other games you want to break down here, Rob St. Clair?
Nope. So those are the quarterfinals. I will be back on Wednesday in between the 2 days of play to break down the semifinals, which are going to be electric. Seriously, Thursday's games, whoever makes it to the semifinals could be some of the best in the history of the NCAA men's tournament. I'm really excited about them. I think it's wide open. Seriously, any of the top 4 teams could legitimately win a national championship. So all of these games are live on ncaa.com for free. Everett will have to check and let the rest of you know and everyone know in the Discord if there's any sort of geo-blocker.
In the past, ncaa.com has always been open. So I am banking on it being open. I will be watching all day tomorrow. I will.
Yep, all day tomorrow. 4 matches on Tuesday, and then 2 matches
and
on Thursday.
chirping Rob specifically in the chat.
There, unfortunately, there's no live chat. You'll just have to do it in Discord.
Sorry, that was the watch along on Sunday that I'm going to be chirping you on. So sorry, my chirps will be exclusively for your phone. My goal is to make you laugh on the broadcast. Like, I just want like a little bit of a chuckle, just enough to know that I had an impact. Right? No one else will know. No one else will know. But I will know from the time that I sent him this. Then you will, just like a little. That's all I want.
Yeah, I'm doing color, by the way. Shout out to Daniel Gilman. He'll be my play-by-play guy for the week. I'm actually really excited to be an analyst for the week. I'm looking forward to that.
Poor man. This poor man.
Yeah, I'm doing
deal
color.
With you doing color for him, and not that it won't be quality. It's that this dude is not gonna get a chance to do color or do play-by-play because you're gonna talk over him the entire time. This is gonna be a great exercise.
Everett,
I'm going to be a great exercise in
I'll
restraint.
keep my mouth shut when it's my turn.
In restraint for Rob St. Clair. I unfortunately am going to miss the semifinals because I have to work, and that makes me sad. and I will be at a spa day on Wednesday, so I will miss your trip.
Fortunately, the NCAA is pretty good about putting these games up on their YouTube channel shortly after they're played. So look for that. But yeah, all these games tomorrow I'm really excited for. Both semifinals on Thursday I'm incredibly excited for. I'm super thankful to the NCAA for the opportunity to get here and call these games, and I think it's going to be awesome. So catch all the games, and we will be back on, or I at least will be back on Wednesday to talk about the quarters and preview the semis.
You will be back. I'll be at the spa. Say hi to Kevin Barnett for me.
I will.
And we love you all. Tune into Rob. You guys are lucky. You get to listen to Rob literally all weekend long. Not my cup.
Yeah, I got a big week of talking.
I mean, that's like any week for you. So
yeah, you're right. You're right.
But best of luck tomorrow, dude. I'll be following along. You should all be too. Once again, just search NCAA men's volleyball and you'll be able to find it. This is the easiest one of all time. If you
Yeah, it's
can't
really
figure
easy.
it out, then like if anyone is going to be coming into the chat and being like, "Where's a link?" It's open, right? So
Yeah, you all know how what a pet peeve it is of mine when you ask questions in the Discord that you can answer with a Google search. So don't do that. But do join the Volleyball Source Discord. I know the
yes.
NCAA channel in there has been pretty active this whole men's season, and I was leaning on them for some background info a couple weeks ago, and I appreciate those people who watch a bunch of games. So get in there and join the conversation. Links in the description, and yeah, we'll see you all next week at some point for a show. And
Yes.
just a big week of ball.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Also, big shout out to like my little birds in the Canada section, just bringing me all the tea on coaches races and coaches signings. Like I've got up to the minute updates going on. So I appreciate you all. You know who you are, and I appreciate you.
We appreciate all of you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for dealing with a super late night show. Everett, I know it's midnight. You go to bed, my friend. We will talk soon. We love you all. Thanks for watching.
Bye.